Hello and welcome to Reddit Tell All. Today is the final two parts of the saga of the psycho mother. If you haven't watched the first two parts, then I suggest going to check that out before listening to this video. I will leave a link for that. And if you do enjoy this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and with that out the way, let's get on with the story. My Mother is a Psycho and Entitled Part 3. Continuing on from Part 2, Me, Be My Kid, EM Entitled Mother. In the last entry, Entitled Mother was petitioning for grandparents' rights. I had never been involved with the courts before. I was pretty freaked out, not to mention terrified of the lies Entitled Mother might tell them about me. After some talk with my boyfriend and therapist, they urged me to hire an attorney. I found a fantastic family law attorney who was incredibly kind but very direct and didn't BS me. I still had flash drives of recordings of the times my mother abused me, a lot of arguments we had, but my attorney dashed any hope of using them. Audio recordings weren't admissible unless both parties agreed to be recorded. I almost gave up hope on the spot, but he assured me that my entitled mother's previous arrest and the testimony of the officer who had arrested her the night I moved out, plus my boyfriend's witness statement, and the fact that entitled mother hadn't seen B in over a year was more than enough for a judge to deny entitled mother of any grandparent rights. At the hearing, in classic Karen form, entitled mother played the victim, stating that I was the aggressor the night I moved out, that I smoked weed around B, and I was a prostitute who brought strange men into her home and slept with them in front of B. She came up with so many lies during the hearing that I swear it was about to start spewing from the browns of her eyes. She even went so far as to accuse my boyfriend of molesting B. The judge then asked if she had any proof of these claims, and she looked at me with that fake motherly tone, saying she didn't want to ruin her precious daughter's life, but this whole thing has forced her hand and she is looking out for her grandchild's best interest. I couldn't contain the snort that I audibly let out. After my siblings testified, they merely repeated the lies but couldn't provide any proof. The judge dismissed her testimony as hearsay, but did order me to undergo a drug test. When it was my turn to testify, I detailed the years of abuse and theft. I told the judge about the money that entitled mother had stolen from me many times, and the time she cut up my debit card because I wouldn't give her my PIN number. I even reiterated about how she demanded the cop arrest me and to force me to give up my bank details. When I stepped down from the stand, the officer was called in to testify. Entitled mother turned white as a ghost. The officer corroborated my story. Entitled mother began shouting at the officer, calling him a liar, but the judge had the police report in front of him. He warned entitled mother he would hold her in contempt of court if she continued with her outburst. My therapist and my boyfriend also testified. The judge denied entitled mother's petition for grandparents' rights. He even said he believed she was in deep need of counselling and that she displays instability to the point it is disturbing. Entitled mother was shaking with rage. She held her composure shockingly and just walked out of the courtroom, glaring at me as she passed by. Outside the courtroom, I told my siblings that I will never let entitled mother into my life or B's life after this. And if they continue to side with her, then they too will have to accept that I will have no contact with them. My boyfriend, who I married, and I agreed to try putting entitled mother and that side of the family behind us Because I had no family who cared, our wedding was small with only his side in attendance. I didn't mind. His family had welcomed B and I openly and accepted us. We moved into a larger home just a few miles away from my old one and agreed we wanted to start a family together and give B a little sibling. If there is one thing that helped me get through the years of torture, it was being a mum, and I'm damn good at it. Husband even legally adopted B to claim as his own. You'd think this would be a happy ending, but nope. The witch is like herpes. She keeps coming back. Part 4 soon. So that is part 3. We have one more part to go. I can't believe that this entitled mother has taken her daughter to court and actually thought she was going to win. She is crazy. But we have one more part to go, and I can just tell that this next part is going to be good. Some real juicy stuff is going to come out of this, and I don't think it's going to disappoint us. Let's just hope that it's a good story for OP and not so good for Entitled Mother. My Mother is a Psycho and Entitled Part 4. I know this is a novel, but I'm actually glad to be doing this. It's cathartic in a way. You may notice this all takes place over the course of many years. Just wanted to clarify, it didn't all happen at once. This is an accumulation of instances where my entitled mother was toxic and dangerous. Thanks for listening, it means a lot. My boyfriend had proposed and we got married in a small courthouse wedding with his parents and siblings in attendance. It wasn't the big massive wedding of my dreams, but we spent the money on our honeymoon, which was fantastic. Fast forward 2 years. I am still in therapy and it helps to have a husband I can turn to whenever I'm feeling stressed or my PTSD starts to flare up, as I call it. But I start to notice he is being distant towards me. To make a long story short, he had been cheating on me for well over a year with a co-worker. I was able to move B and I back to our old apartment complex. It wasn't the same apartment, but the transition was pretty easy. And I had enough vacation time at work to take a few days off to get everything sorted out. Ex-husband and I divorced, but agreed to stay amicable for B's sake. A few months go by and I was starting to get over the divorce. B and I were spending more time together and I was supporting him through his favourite thing at that time, Little League. He tried out for the school team and he got picked right away. I was so proud of him. It was better than him being obsessed with video games. After a little time, I get a Facebook message from one of my siblings again. Therapy had been so great with helping me overcome those emotions, so I didn't react as badly as I had before. They wanted me to forgive entitled mother for how she acted and that she was deeply sorry for it and truly wanted to mend the rift. If she was so sorry, why didn't she message me herself? She has my Facebook. I asked my siblings, why now? And they said because of the divorce. It isn't right that I'm alone now. I hadn't told anyone in my family about my divorce. I'm pretty much no contact with all of them. I'm guessing word just spread around about it. I told my sibling that I was fine and I still didn't want any contact with entitled mother after she lied about me to the judge. Sibling said entitled mother had been in therapy and realizes she was wrong and thought if she messaged me herself, she would just get blocked and ignored. Hearing that entitled mother was seeing a therapist actually made me happy. Maybe now entitled mother could see that her abuse and torturing me was toxic and that it destroyed our relationship. Because I'm an absolute effing idiot, I asked my sibling if she could watch my apartment and B while I take a short but much needed vacation with some friends. I would only be gone for the weekend as we were going to the spa. I also asked sibling not to tell entitled mother my address. Just as a measure of safety, I asked my ex-husband to check on my apartment from time to time over the weekend. I thought this would give B the chance to get to know their family a little, and I would get a nice quiet 2 days of pampering. I drive to the spa and I'm there not even 3 hours before I get a frantic call from my ex-husband. My apartment was trashed. The walls smeared with dog feces, and the police are there looking for me. Of course, I am panicking at this point and had to drive the hour-long trip back home, terrified of what I am about to walk into. When I get there, I am arrested on the spot for drug possession, child neglect, and child endangerment. I am absolutely 100% shocked by this. I don't do drugs. I don't even smoke weed. I have a couple of drinks on occasion, but other than that, I'm pretty much a square. I am hauled down to the police station and interrogated at length about the accusations being labelled against me. Entitled mother had made a call to them after seeing her grandson covered in bruises and dog feces. We don't even own a dog. After the police searched my trashed apartment, they found the drugs sitting on my kitchen counter. Upon hearing that it was entitled mother that called the police on me, my PTSD flared up and I began to have the most severe anxiety attack that I ever had and had to be admitted to the hospital for a psych evaluation. I don't remember much of it because I apparently had fainted many times from the high amounts of stress. The on-call therapist told me I was screaming, "Why is she doing this to me?" and that I wanted to die. After 3 days of being on medication that made me into a literal zombie, the police came to talk to me again. He told me that entitled mother refused to admit B to the hospital for an examination, stating that she knows he has bruises because she saw them and didn't need a doctor to tell her that her baby was abused. Ex-husband, being the godsend that he is, asked the police to take B from entitled mother's custody, and after an extensive examination, B had no bruises other than the scrapes he got from Little League. He told the officer that entitled mother had told him that she was going to be his mother now. He made sure to drive home the point that entitled mother was scary, and he was afraid she may hurt him if he tried to escape. Both my siblings were questioned and, to save their own skins, admitted that entitled mother told them to wait until I wasn't home and B was with them so she and my other siblings could go and trash my apartment and plant the drugs. Entitled mother denied this, but the evidence and all of the other instances where she showed her clear mental instability, she was arrested on charges of domestic abuse, theft, destruction of property, lying to the police, and the worst of all, kidnapping. My siblings were also charged. I also found out that entitled mother being in therapy was a lie, and that entitled mother had no intention of changing and was merely biding her time. I have since been granted a permanent restraining order against entitled mother and my siblings, and they are in no way to contact me. And if any other relative tries to contact me on their behalf, that would be a violation and they would be charged even more. I will be in therapy probably for the rest of my life at this point, and B has begun seeing the same therapist. My ex-husband and I are working through our own issues. Knowing that entitled mother will get out of prison at some point, we are considering moving out of state. Quick edit in case anyone is wondering. My boss has been the best. He paid for a professional cleaning crew to clean up my apartment and replace my living room television. B is happy about that. I'm sure some might be wondering why I still have anything to do with my ex-husband. We are working through those issues with therapy, and there is a lot of trust to build back up. But we love one another and are committed to being good for each other as well as B. There are boundaries that we set for one another, and he even pays child support to help with B and is even taking him to ball games, and the two of them are incredibly close. B already lost his birth father. I don't want him losing his stepfather too. It's what works for us, and someday I know we'll all be just fine. For now, we are happy with a no commitment friendship while we go through counselling. B is in therapy as well, and it helps him a lot to cope with the loss of his birth father and going through the traumatic experience his grandmother has put him through. I am now talking with a cousin who knows how crazy my mother is, and after I moved out all of those years ago was ranting about how she could make me suffer for taking B away from her and losing out on all that money. Greed and mental illness do not mix. Second edit. I wanted to quickly add this because I realised I had glazed over some things. My mother and siblings were all sentenced to jail for their role in destroying my apartment and attempting to frame me, not to mention kidnapping B. Sister got 5 years, my brother got 8, and my mother got 15 years. I wasn't present for the sentencing portion, but I did receive copies of each of their sentences. My mother was ordered to undergo a psych evaluation. It's been a few days since I posted, and a lot of people are suggesting we move out of state. We are considering it. Both X and I are able to transfer, but I am worried about tugging B away from the family he has here. My ex-husband's family, I mean. I have no contact with my mother's family, and X doesn't want to move. He thinks that moving means they have won and that they scared us off. I tell him it's a matter of safety, not pride, and he gets that. We're still discussing it whenever B isn't in the room. We have already settled on a location if we decide to move. It would be a big change from our lives here, but it would definitely be a nice change. Another thing that is stopping us is our relationship. We aren't married anymore and currently don't live together. X says in order for things to work, we would need to get married again, or at least move in together. I'm currently thinking about it, but I am leaning towards moving B and I back in with him, at least to get away from my old apartment because some of my mother's relatives know where it is. It's a lot to think about, but I am discussing it with my therapist as well. She thinks moving would be good for us. Well, that is the final part of the story. And I don't know about you, but I was not expecting those long sentences. 15 years. That's crazy. I mean, what she done was truly horrible and disgusting. So at least OP can now relax for 15 years. This was posted 1 year ago, so at least she's got a bit of breathing space and time to actually rebuild her life and get herself in a good place, because OP seems like she's gone through quite a lot. Her husband cheated on her. She basically has no contact with most of her family, so I really wish her good luck to the future. There are a few more stories that I want to cover that she has posted because she just seems to have drama after drama after drama. I hope that everything has settled down for her now and she now has a good life and is happy where she is. If you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos.